The NFL has just dropped a devastating final verdict that officially robs us of 2 premium draft picks we absolutely earned. Despite clear evidence and a direct appeal from our highest-ranking executives, the league office has chosen a bizarre technicality over simple common sense. This decision doesn't just damage our rebuilding process, it completely exposes the glaring flaws in the league's diversity hiring initiatives. If you want the most passionate, unfiltered daily updates on everything happening with our team, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe right now. Let's get right into the breaking news that just came down from the National Football League. We have all been anxiously waiting to hear the results of the Chicago Bears' formal appeal regarding the compensatory draft picks tied to Ian Cunningham's departure to the Atlanta Falcons. Unfortunately, we finally have the verdict. The NFL has officially ruled against the Bears, declaring our front office will not receive those highly anticipated draft picks. It is a Friday heading into a long holiday weekend, and I would have loved nothing more than to jump on here with incredible news about our expanding draft capital. Instead, we have to unpack exactly why the league decided to leave us empty-handed. How on earth can a system designed to reward progress end up penalizing the very teams doing the hard work to develop top-tier minority executives? Let us look directly at the statement released by the league this afternoon. The NFL stated the matter is entirely closed following the club's appeal, informing the Chicago Bears the compensatory picks are off the table. Their reasoning stems from the strict language of their policy, designed to reward teams only when they develop the primary football executive. The league determined Ian Cunningham does not fill that role with the Falcons as rigidly defined in their rulebook. Why? Because the Falcons had already hired Matt Ryan and handed him the title of President of Football. Essentially, the league is blindly hiding behind the literal text of their bylaws. I have always believed rules exist for a reason. If we look at this purely through a robotic, bureaucratic lens, I slightly understand their initial stance. Before Ian Cunningham even took the job, reporters like Patrick Finley accurately pointed out that hiring Matt Ryan as president of football would create a hurdle. The technicality was always there. It is annoying, and I still think it is nonsense, but from a legalistic standpoint, you can see how the league arrived at that conclusion. However, that is exactly where my patience runs out, because real-world facts contradict the league's ruling. When Matt Ryan was doing his media tour leading up to the Super Bowl, he was shockingly honest. He stood in front of national cameras and admitted he had never even been in a draft meeting. He literally called it Ian's show and confessed he was just there to assist. How can anyone at the league office hear a man say he has no experience in a draft room and still designate him as the primary decision-maker? The reality is incredibly clear. Arthur Blank and the Falcons' ownership brought in a beloved franchise legend to be the face of the organization. Matt Ryan was hired to be a cultural stabilizer. He was not brought in to grind through college scouting tape or manage the salary cap. Ian Cunningham is doing the heavy lifting as the actual general manager. Yet, the NFL lazily decided the corporate title on Matt Ryan's business card is more valuable than the functional reality of who is running the football operations. This brings us to a deeper, frustrating conversation about the Rooney Rule. Just this week at the NFL owners' meetings, Commissioner Roger Goodell was directly questioned about it, especially with pushback from politicians like the Florida Attorney General. Goodell passionately claimed the NFL's core values haven't changed. He insisted the league deeply believes in diversity. I have to call his bluff right here. If the NFL truly valued diversity and wanted a massive public relations victory, this situation was teed up for them. They had the perfect opportunity to step up and apply common sense. Here is the question of the day, and I want every single one of you to drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Do you truly believe the NFL is committed to the Rooney Rule, or is this ruling proof that it is all just performative PR for the league office? Let me know exactly where you stand down below. The breadcrumbs proving Ian Cunningham's true authority are everywhere. If he was just a secondary assistant, why did the Falcons hire a brand new assistant GM this week? You do not hire an assistant for the assistant. The evidence is overwhelming, and the NFL's refusal to acknowledge it is a missed opportunity. Now, let us talk about the long-term damage. Some argue making an exception here would open the floodgates for future disputes. I think that logic is backward. By strictly enforcing this technicality, the NFL just opened a dangerous, easily exploitable loophole. Imagine a scenario where a team like the Minnesota Vikings desperately wants to hire a brilliant minority executive away from a division rival, but refuses to reward that rival with compensatory draft picks. Thanks to this ruling, they have a perfect blueprint. All they have to do is hire a famous retired player, like Adam Thielen, for example, give him the title of president of football, and then hire the minority candidate to actually run the team. Because of the precedent set today, that franchise gets the executive they want without surrendering any draft capital. The door is wide open for teams to circumvent the spirit of the rule. For naive critics suggesting Ryan Poles and our front office should have simply blocked Ian Cunningham from taking the job, you are living in a fantasy world. Poles has a deep, personal relationship with Cunningham. He earned the right to be a GM, and the Falcons assured him he would be the primary decision-maker. You cannot block a man from achieving his dream job just because you are worried the NFL might cheat you out of draft picks. It is terrible business. I have to give massive credit to our leadership group for fighting this battle. Team President Kevin Warren, Chairman George McCaskey, and Ryan Poles literally boarded a flight to New York to sit down with Roger Goodell. They pleaded their case face to face, doing everything in their power to ensure this rule was applied fairly. Losing 2 third-round picks is a massive blow. Those picks are premium currency used to draft foundational players. To add insult to injury, the timeline of this decision is incredibly disrespectful. We are roughly 20 days away from the NFL draft. This should have been a cut-and-dry issue resolved weeks ago. If the league was always going to default to the strict wording of their bylaws, they could have issued this rejection within a day of the appeal. Instead, they dragged it out, leaving our front office in limbo. Some people, like Greg Gabriel, suggest the team should sue the NFL. Let's be realistic. No team is going to win a lawsuit against the league over its own internal bylaws. Unfortunately, we just have to swallow this bitter pill. The NFL missed the easiest layup of the year to do the right thing. We have to pivot our focus to the approaching draft, and trust that Ryan Poles will crush it with the picks we do have. I don't know what else to say other than it stinks, but we will push through it together. Keep sounding off in the comments, let me know your raw feelings on this ruling, and I will see you guys next time.